Comment? We will close public comments. Is that motion?
Mayor Pro Tem, if yourself or council have specific feedback they're looking for now, I'd be happy to provide that. Otherwise, we can move on to the next agenda item.
Okay. Is there any feedback that the council like to seek and have further conversations right now?
I'll probably have some at the end of the meeting. I'm just collecting my thoughts from the input.
Same. Yeah. Agreed. Okay. Thank you. All right. Moving on. Approve city council meeting minutes. Oh wait, I'm talking about consent approval of the September 2nd, 2025 meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
I would just ask the Mayor Pro Tem if there's any staff adjustments to what's on the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. What you have in front of you, as tradition, you printed out voucher report. This is a standing council item, but the detail is there in front of you. This was emailed out this afternoon as it was completed.
Thank you for the addition.
Yep. So I'll move to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
All right, motion moved. All right, now approval. Is that right?
Then we just got to vote on it.
Oh, all of those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no or nay. Thank you, Jason, for the help. All right. Moving on to consent agenda, is that correct? Okay. Pursuant of council rules, one motion, non-debatable, will approve the recommendation noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from the consent agenda for discussion and separate action. Such items removed from the consent agenda shall be considered immediately following approval of the balance of the consent agenda. Any adjustments to the consent agenda?
Hearing none, I will move that we approve the consent agenda items A through K.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no or nay. All right. What did we approve tonight? All right. So we approved city council meeting minutes from August 19th. We approved the scheduling of public hearing on October 7th, 2025 to certify the assessment roll for unpaid administrative penalties. A scheduling public hearing for October 7th, 2025 to certify the assessment roll for delinquent utilities. Scheduled public hearing for October 7th, 2025 to certify the assessment roll for emergency water, sewer, and sub pump repairs. Scheduling public hearing on October 7th, 2025 to certify the assessment roll for forced tree removals. We also approved Robbinsdale Wine and Spirits monthly financial statements, the Deputy Registrar's monthly financial statements, a resolution awarding contract for purchase of an aerial apparatus, ladder fire truck, congratulations, and received Sustainability Committee meeting minutes from June 18, 2025. We received Park and Recreation and Forestry Commission minutes from June. And last but not least, we're considering approval for retail licenses for tobacco products shop and THC products by RB Tobacco Incorporated at 4066 Lakeland Avenue North. All right, moving on to presentations. We have 2025 Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. What you have in front of you here is we continue to promote our efforts. This was written up by your staff DEI committee recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month, the proclamation recognizing September 15th through October 15th. I won't read through it in its entirety. I'm sure Council will have some comments. Do want to call out, well, as we were putting together, a good reminder of why it's mid-month. The mid-month originally started as a week under President Lyndon Johnson, then later expanded to a 30-day period. And this includes recognition of several Latin American countries gaining independence on or near that 15th of September, then followed by those 30 days. So again, what you've got in front of you is the September 15th through October 15th Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation as put together by your staff DEI committee.
Thank you so much. Any comments? Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Very happy to support this proclamation. I think I speak for many of us where this is an important opportunity for all residents in Robbinsdale to learn more and appreciate about Hispanic heritage. And I think going beyond, using our mechanism of a proclamation like this, I think it is also important to find action in learning more about our community and extending that to other communities as well. So I wanted to highlight a really neat learning opportunity and a way to appreciate some Latino art in our community. A little bit of a drive from here, but there is a really great exhibit going on at Raspberry Island in St. Paul. They're featuring a lot of, they're called alebrijes, which are really large, beautiful, colorful sculptures that are based on Mexican folk art tradition. And that is in partnership with the Minnesota Latino Museum going through October 26th. So even though it's not right here in Robbinsdale, it's not too far away, and I think it's a really great way to appreciate that folk art tradition and to also appreciate our Latino community and their contributions to art and the community in general. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Sure, I can add something. Yeah, thank you, staff, for putting this together and continue to work on the DEI committee. Glad to see that structure is still in place and being utilized. I think it's important to have proclamations like this because I do want Robbinsdale to feel welcome to everybody, and I know we're imperfect at that sometimes. And I know this is, words on a piece of paper, but hopefully, through our actions, we can improve on that welcoming atmosphere, especially at a time in our country where, like, the immigrant story of our country is being challenged and being kind of in a violent way. And I don't want that to be the case in Robbinsdale. And so I think it's incumbent upon all of us, including all of us up here, to defend immigrants of all backgrounds, and our Hispanic heritage immigrants are included in that. So just want to say thanks for putting this together, and we have more work to do.
Thank you. Councilman Greenberg, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'll just say really quick. I mean, thanks to staff for putting this together, and just in addition to what council members Parisian and Wagner have already shared, just that I'm happy to support this and bring awareness and let our neighbors and community know that we support them and that we are a welcoming community and want them to, to feel that support through this proclamation.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll just briefly add as well, I just appreciate the fact that we bring to the top not only celebrating others, but recognizing the impact they've had in our communities likewise. So as we continue to, this is just like I said, piece of paper and something that we're saying words, continue to learn and continue to think about how we have all come together as a community to be mindful of how we support each other, but learning from whose experiences as well too, and how that shapes our country and who we are as individuals. So thank you, staff, for continuing these efforts to bring these up. All right.
So I will move to approve this proclamation.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no or nay. Proclamation approved. All right, moving on to public hearings. We have none. Old business, we have none. New business, award bid, Chowan Avenue Trunk Storm Sewer Line.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members both present and remote, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Part of the 2025 capital improvement project is to reconstruct the trunk stormwater line across Sanborn Park. This would connect the work we did a few years ago at the southern end of Chowan Avenue, that section from County Road 9 down to the top of the park, down to Crystal Lake. The existing, and I'm going to put up a bit of a diagram here to help explain it. And this will be fun. I haven't used this thing for quite a while. So figuring out how to unzoom it. Look at that. All right. So even better. Look at that. Sensational. And I don't know how they switch, or do I do that? Podium dock cam.
Nice.
We're in. There we go.
All right, we've got to get that into focus a bit. That's horrible. All right. So just briefly, the existing storm sewer system is shown in green here, and it kind of meanders its way down the eastern edge of the park down into Crystal Lake. And the plan, the project that we're looking to award tonight, is to replace that with the pipe shown in red. So we would pick up the stormwater here, run it to quite a large structure here, then run 2 pipes down towards the end of Sanborn Park, another very large structure, and then there would actually be 3 box culverts that will come out of that into the lake. By the time the water gets down here, in a typical 10-year storm, we're looking at something like 200 cubic feet per second, so it's quite a lot of water. There's also a branch off the side here that would connect up with the work that was done down Beard Avenue. And we put that pipeline down Beard Avenue to take some of the pressure off Chowan Avenue because of the adverse conditions there. The plan, as it stands at the moment, is not to connect at this point, or down here, because this project is kind of interwoven with the reconstruction of Chowan Avenue and Shoreline Drive. Right now we don't have the infrastructure at both ends to allow that new pipe to go all the way. It will be included to connect those pieces as part of the Chowan and the Shoreline Drive project, which we're hoping to bid and get started early in 2026. So until such time as that work gets done, the existing storm sewer system will still operate, and it's only after we've got those connections made. I got to tell you that the complications down in this area are interesting. We've had to go to culverts because we've got a trunk sanitary sewer that comes through there. They're both gravity systems. They can't be at the same elevation, and it's created all sorts of design fun. So for this particular project, we prepared plans, put it out to bid, and on August 28th we opened bids. We only had one bidder, and the total of that was $2,713,376.50. Our engineer's estimate was $2.2 million, and the abstracted bids has been included in your business papers for tonight. The low bidder is SM Henches and Sons of Jordan, Minnesota. Now, while the low bid is above the engineer's estimate, it does fall within the budget allocation, which was $2.85 million. And it is critical to complete this work before we can begin work both on any new building in Sanborn Park and on the Chowan Avenue Shoreline Drive reconstruction. So in having a look at the bid abstract, the primary difference between what we'd estimated and what came in as the low bid was the cost of those large structures at either end. Pretty much the rest of it we were within reason, but those we didn't get very right. We don't do them very often, and those structures are actually going to be very, very large. So that caught us by surprise a little bit. City has worked with this low bid contractor on recent projects, including Lee Avenue reconstruction by the water treatment plant, and in fact the Chowan Avenue project just to the north of Sanborn Park, which in all my time here is probably one of the most technically complicated street projects that we've ever done, given the very, very poor soil and the very large demand for storm sewer in that section of street. The work was found to be satisfactory, so therefore the contractor is deemed to be responsible. We're anticipating that the number of construction days to complete this work to be 42, and that's outlined in the specifications. Once we know more detailed information about start and schedule, we will be sending letters out to adjacent residents to advise them that construction commencement is imminent. So shown as attachment 2 is a resolution awarding the contract for the Chowan Avenue Trunk Storm Sewer Line Project 73225 to SM Henches and Sons of Jordan, Minnesota. I will note that in the resolution itself, and I'll put that up on the screen here also. So in the version you might have in your packet, there's a number 1 and a number 2. The number 2 doesn't make any sense when you only have one bidder, because number 2 says we'll keep the top 3 bids and give all the rest of them back. Well, we only had one bidder, so therefore we're not holding any bonds or anything for the next low bidders. So this is the version that I'd like to proceed with that just deletes that section 2. So I'm happy to respond to any questions that council members may have.
Thank you. Any immediate questions? Yes.
Thank you. I've got one quick question. Just with the timeline, it's nice to hear that it looks like the timeline to complete the project is just over 40 days. Do you anticipate that that's able to happen this fall, or would it have to be after the winter season?
We believe that the work can be done this fall yet.
Okay, great.
The trickiest parts of this project are building those 2 structures.
Okay.
Laying the pipe should go very, very quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Richard. Just from, I know we've talked about this as a council in the past, and so we think we have a little bit, or we have a good understanding of what the project's about, but maybe just for the public's benefit, could you provide just a high-level overview of what this system will do, how it will benefit the surrounding area, kind of its function?
Certainly. Well, right now, this is a continuation of work we did. I think it was a 2018 numbered project, but it didn't get done till a few years after that in Chowan Avenue. Residents might recall that every time we got more than a few drops of rain, Chowan Avenue between 43rd Avenue and Lake Drive would turn into a lake. Lake Chowan was kind of bandied around on social media and what have you. The capacity of the pipes that were under the ground there just couldn't handle the volume of water. On top of that, there's very poor soil in that section of road. We replaced what was essentially a 50 or a 42-inch pipe with 2 48-inch pipes to try and deal with that capacity. So far it's been doing pretty good, but now we move downstream to the next section, and that's the section that we show on this plan here. That's the section that's what's being bid at the moment. So the plan is to connect up at that northern end of the park to the work we did a few years ago with a 72-inch pipe that will come down to that first structure. Going off to the east will be a 48-inch pipe which will connect with the 48-inch pipe that comes down Beard Avenue. And then from that structure, there's 2 60-inch, I think the report says 65, they're actually 60-inch pipes that will run between the 2 structures that you see on the plan here. At that bottom structure, we then have to convert into culverts. We have to flatten the profile out, so we've actually got 3 6x3 culverts, and that will then proceed into the lake. So we've done the drainage analysis, and it will be able to handle a 10-year storm without bubbling up like we used to see in Lake Chowan. Anything beyond that storm event will have to flow over land. We don't do designs for 100-year storm events because that would be obscenely cost prohibitive. It would involve enormous sized pipes in the ground for what is essentially a very rare event. So that's that's kind of the cliff notes, if you like, on
Sure.
how this will work. it will help to convey that water from upstream into the lake without causing backups and problems in Sherwin Avenue or in Sanborn Park.
Gotcha. Thank you. And I know when the water specialist was talking to us a few months ago, I think they had mentioned that the flocculation plant had kind of, in a way, had been a victim of its own success, right? There was some seasons like where there wasn't anything to clean up. So I guess maybe leading into this question, do you see like our current like water treatment infrastructure over here being impacted by kind of a more efficient thoroughfare for stormwater?
No, I don't. Where we see opportunity to put in more treatment devices to collect litter and other gross pollutants, we will do so. This is really difficult on a line like this. Number one, because the volume is just so enormous.
Sure.
And number two is it is so flat. So, essentially a lot of this pipe will be laid under the lake level as it currently stands. So to be able to try and get some kind of hydrodynamic separator or something like that in a situation like that, they don't work. You need to have grade, you need to have some fall to be able to get those things to work properly. So part of this project will not include putting any devices on there. It's a case of trying to make sure that the streets are swept and all those sorts of other techniques that we use to keep debris and other materials out of the storm sewer system.
Sure. Okay, great. Thank you. That's kind of what I was hoping you'd answer that way. So, and I guess just going back to the contractor and the bids and that process, I know some of this project is new to, we don't have to do it that often, but is one bidder, was that anticipated or was that kind of surprising?
Good question, Councilmember Wagner. We were actually expecting a lot more because the number of people that took the plans out when they were available was
sure.
quite substantial. So we were very surprised that we only had one bidder.
Okay, got you. And yeah, I think it's reassuring for me and I think for residents to know that we've worked with them and that they've done good work. Considering that they're kind of I think it's important that we move this project along, especially with the winter fast approaching, but knowing that yes, we only had the one option this time, but they've worked with us in the past. They do good work, and we have a good relationship with them, and so I'm confident that as much as I would maybe have liked a more competitive process, that the finish line or the target for the project is, I think, more important in my mind at this moment. So I just wanted to maybe flush that out a little bit more, my thinking. But that's all I have. Thank you, Richard.
Councilman Greenberg, anything?
In relation to that, the question about the single bidder, is it like the complexity of the project, the timing of the project? Do you have any insights into like why we only got one bid if you were anticipating to get several or many?
Councilmember Greenberg, another good question. The world of contracting is very vague sometimes. If I had to guess, I would say that maybe some of the contractors were put off by the time of year and the relatively short time span to get this work done. And maybe they're already loaded up with other work as well.
Yeah. The one other question I had, thank you for that answer. The one other question I had is, I know a lot of work was done on Chowan as you reference. Just wondering, does this new trunk address or help or impact in any way? I know there's several houses on Drew that have like a low point. There's a low area right behind, like right past Chowan, and I'm just wondering if this will help alleviate some of the water concerns that those residents have had.
My answer to that is I don't think it will. It might help in times where there's backwater effects. So if the capacity of the downstream system is not large enough, you might get some backwater effects that might backflow into that Drew Avenue area. I think that the best way to combat not only that one, but we see other areas kind of in that neighbourhood that are low-lying and suffer when the Crystal Lake is high. I think the way to address that is by tackling the amount of water that's coming in from Minneapolis. And I think, that 38th Avenue pipe that comes directly from Minneapolis, whenever we get heavy rain, that thing runs so full. And we're restricted in how much water we can pump back into Minneapolis. So there's a bit of inequity there, and we're working really hard to get that addressed. I believe Minneapolis has got some grant money to look at some flood areas that they have there, and we're hopeful that between the city of Minneapolis and the Shingle Creek watershed, that we will get some improvement on the amount of water that comes, well, not only the volume, but the quality of water as well, that comes down that 38th Avenue pipe. We also have to work with the park board, which is challenging to say the least as well.
Thank you. Appreciate those details.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to my fellow council members. Those are amazing questions that I think covered anything I had to offer. But I just want to say, Richard, thank you so much for you and the team, just for being so intentional around this project. I know this has been a long time coming, and there's been a lot of work involved in putting this together. So yeah, just thank you for your time and being intentional on that, and looking forward to getting this started so we can resume calm and cool collective business. All right. Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, if of the appetite, I think there's at least one resident here who wants to address the council on the item.
Oh, excellent. Yes, please do.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
My name's Will Benson. I'm a resident of 4322 Toledo Ave North, Robbinsdale, Ward 1. Coming to City Council tonight just to bring up some comments, some questions that I hope you guys would consider prior to adopting this resolution. First being about the bid process. So, it was stated that on August 28th, 2025, bids were received and publicly opened on this project. So, August 28th, the bidding is opened, bids are received. Only one bid was received. So if you look at the timeline there, August 28th, that's last Thursday. Fast forward, here we are, Tuesday, and you guys are going to vote on the resolution, right? So that's 5 days from the opening of the bid to here we are today. And I'll note that 3 out of those 5 days were on a holiday weekend as well. So my question there is, I'm curious, is this a typical time period for you guys to have a public bidding period? Was this intended to be a very competitive bidding process? Some questions to consider there. The second comments and question that I have has to do with the engineering estimates versus the actual bid. Because as we know, there's only one bidder. And known as the low bidder, I think it's interesting that they're called the low bidder because they're actually above what the estimate was and that they're the only bidder. So my question there is, what was driving the difference between what engineering estimated this project would cost and what was actually bid? Because if you look at it broken down, it comes down to primarily line item 18, which I think was estimated to be around $200,000, where the bid was upwards to $900,000. Line 18, just line 18, that's a 350% increase from the estimate to the bid. So I'm just curious, I got a little insight about it's the unexpected costs of the two buildings. So I'm curious what's driving that 350% increase from the estimate to the actual building. Lastly on that, I would be curious, the capital improvement plan allocated $2.85 million for this project. So I'm curious where that number came from, how it relates to what the estimated project cost was, and then what the subsequent single bidder cost came out to be. Lastly, I would ask the City Council how you would justify a over $500,000 increase from the estimated cost to the bid cost. Is that actually what the cost is? Is it $500,000 more for these two structures? Was it that there was only one bidder and that this was the one bid, or this was the right firm to do the job? Is this driven by the timeline? I've heard the winter's coming up. We need to get this project done before the winter. Or is this driven by we've already allocated enough money for this project, so what the heck? Another $500,000. So what I would ask the City Council this evening, is to not waive the reading of this resolution and consider my questions and comments before voting to adopt or not adopt this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, address and or speak to any of the questions that Mr. Benson brought up.
Do you want us to go?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Will, for bringing up some of those questions. I think I would be interested in hearing from staff on some of the questions raised specifically around the bidding timeline from August 28th to today. I think we did hear further information around both the timeline and the budget set aside for this. I think the other question that I would like to hear from staff is on the item 5062, the line item 18 that was underestimated. So I think those two questions I would like to hear from staff. I don't know if you had more.
No, thank you, Councilmember Parisian, Mayor Pro Tem, staff. Thank you, Will, for addressing us with your concerns. And I think those are good questions. And I think I don't know if I have anything to add other than what Councilmember Parisian has asked of staff.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Council. So I'll address a couple items real quick and then invite Mr. McCoy to come back up. At a high level, there's a bid process that we're required to adhere to by statute. A job of this size requires us to go through a certain process highlighted by timeline, hitting certain dates, hitting certain marks. Those that are on council have the advantage of having been through this process. So this is not unusual to get a bid back and turn it around for the next item. Not that that was a suggestion. I want to be very clear that staff does not, approach a project like this, including the dollar amount, with any level of haphazard. Whether called out through the CIP engineer's estimates, I think as was described, there can be items that, whether it's labor, costs, materials, etc., that drive these things sometimes up, sometimes down. An example I'd give, a smaller scale project that you reviewed two versions of earlier in the year. We bid out for tennis courts and pickleball courts at Sanborn Park. Similarly, The first bid came back through the roof, and staff did not make recommendation for that approval. Went back, made some adjustments, and then brought it a updated version to you. So again, going through the channels and the process that we're required to, and then using best judgment, making our recommendation for that. Richard, if you'd like to address a couple of those more detailed items.
Thanks, council members. I'd be happy to address all of the issues that were raised. The bid process, August 28 was when we opened them. They'd been out in the market for 3 weeks before that. The statute requires us to bid a project like this for 3 weeks, and it was out there for 3 weeks. As the city manager says, what we try to do with bid openings is have them on a Thursday so we can process the bids that come in and get it to the council as expeditiously as possible. We're not afraid of not recommending approvals if we think that it's out of line. Estimates. So yes, as I stated in my report earlier, the one line item, the two structures, are the ones that we didn't guess very well. When we do engineers' estimates, when we do estimates for the CIP, they're our best guess at what we think something will cost. If we're doing street reconstruction, we're pretty darn good at that. We've got that dialed in really well because we're always getting prices for pipes, for street, for curb and gutter, for concrete, for asphalt. So we've got that dialed in pretty well. When we go out for things like buildings, when we go out for things like tennis courts, when we go out things for structures like this, we don't do them very much, so we don't have a good feel. We will have a guess at what we think they will cost, but we don't have necessarily as good a feel for that as we do for the standard street reconstruction, where we are pretty darn well dialed in. If you have a look at the rest of the numbers in there for the pipes and everything, we're pretty darn close. So that is the primary difference here, and it's simply because we don't have a lot of experience in constructing massive stormwater structures. In having a look at the amount provided, that is not unreasonable for what they're building. These things have to be hand-formed and poured. It's not unreasonable. These things are huge. They're structural. They're going to have a lot of reinforced concrete. It's not an unreasonable cost. If I thought it was unreasonable, I would tell you so, and I would recommend rejecting the bid. Question about the CIP, how that works. Again, when we're doing the CIP, this is before we've even done any survey for the most part. So we are really trying to forecast what might happen. And we probably there's an unknown amount, we probably allow a 15% contingency because there's stuff we don't know until we get out there and do survey, until we get out there and do soil borings. We just don't know. But we have to give a number to council so that you guys can make informed decisions going ahead for the 10-year CIP. I guarantee you that the 10-year CIP I present to you later this year will have numbers that are our best guess given the information we have. And then the issue with the cost difference is simply because, you know, don't take the engineer's estimate as gospel. You know, we do our best to figure out what something will cost. We don't get it right all the time. I can tell you that when we bring the street ones up to you, they'll be pretty darn close. But some of these off ones that we don't do often, they might be out a bit. And that's simply because we don't have a lot of track record with building that sort of stuff. You know, when we get to the buildings and what have you, we rely on others. We rely on architects and what have you to give us a cost, because I don't know how much it costs to build a water treatment plant. You know, I rely on others that have more experience in doing that work to advise us what they think the cost should be. So I think that covered most of what was raised. If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Richard, for that. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The bidding process, so you said it, you kind of tell the world about it 3 weeks before bidding opens. And am I correct in assuming that 3 week lead up time is when contractors can build their own numbers, and then that informs the bid in that window? Is that kind of what the process looks like?
Contractors will generally pull the plans off the website. They will then sit and do nothing about it for 2 weeks and 6 days. And then it'll be a massive scramble at the end to work out their numbers. And then on the morning we have the bid, you'll normally have a bunch of contractors milling around out here or sitting out in their car getting their final numbers. And then 5 minutes before the bids are due, they'll all rush in and put their bids in. That's how it normally works. This time we had one person, which is very, very unusual.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. Now, since I still have the floor, I guess I'll just, I think that resident was right in asking the council directly about, justifying, an extra $500,000 overestimation, over the estimate. And so I want to just say that in my mind, that expense, while it's no small number, because I think, when you think about the full-time employees that could potentially add to staff or any other things that the $500,000 can be used for, I think it's important that we kind of reconcile, what the cost benefit of that is. And in my mind, it's worth it because of the need as the engineering department has laid out, and the kind of the timing is also part of it too. I think it's important to get it done in a timely fashion. We want to have the new and improved Sandborg Park, or to be renamed, I suppose, up as quickly as possible, so residents can enjoy it. And if we kind of stall this project further, it's going to push that timeline into further back, which is going to run into other projects that are important to residents in different parts of the city all over. So those are a couple of reasons why that if you want to think about it that way, which maybe you could, it's $500,000, and that is one way to think about it. Like, what's the cost benefit of that? But also, it's kind of part of the bigger project, and so we're not necessarily like trading $1 for another from other projects, because we've already budgeted. And I think the CIP number, I think, is a testament to why we do that process, and like actually how it is functioning well, because we're still under that number. And I think that's important to point out. But I think from the sounds of it, the structures were the kind of the big unknown. And from my understanding of the project, the structures are an integral part of it, which is going to prevent water pooling in different parts of the city that make it a hazard for not only residents, but wildlife and the environment and all of that stuff. So when I think about the project as a whole, and including that kind of difference in estimation and bid, I think that all of those things I just mentioned kind of make that worth it and worthwhile. But I would, love to hear other people's thoughts on it. But that's kind of where my head is at. And while it's unfortunate that we only had the one bidder, I do just think we should just move forward with it as is, for the variety of reasons that I kind of lumbered through. But yeah, thank you, Richard. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Greenberg.
Richard, thanks for addressing those details. One question I had, just in the history, you have a lot of experience of going out to bid, of creating, of seeing these projects through. Are there scenarios where there are lots of bidders and the low bid is still higher than what you estimated? And I guess along with that, is there a chance that, let's say that we did put this on pause for now and we come back another time, that even if we did get multiple bidders, that those numbers would be higher? If as time goes on, I'm pretty familiar that those projects tend to get more expensive and not less. I guess just like with that as a general theme, can you address some of that?
Certainly, Councilmember Greenberg. The first question, relating to multiple bidders and still being over the engineer's estimate or even the budget, the answer to that is yes. We saw a lot of that actually coming out of COVID because materials prices were just off the charts. And that's not something one can anticipate very well. So there has been historical cases where that has been seen. The other question about if we were to reject this bid and go out for bid again, is it going to make a difference? It probably will make no difference at all. And, it's just in our engineer's estimate, we didn't get the structure cost as accurate as we would have liked. That's simply it.
Thank you for that. And thanks for the council's input. And Will, thank you so much for bringing up these questions. They are really, they're legitimate questions, and I'm glad that we're going into more detail. But I do feel similar to Aaron as far as justifying this, and I put a lot of faith and trust into our engineering staff and Mr. McCoy as our city engineer, in having a lot of experience in being forthright with the council on what these different things mean. And it is more expensive than what we had anticipated, and it isn't a small sum. So it's not as though it's just like, oh, well, whatever. But I think there's also risk, from my perspective, in waiting, not having the work done, potentially being more expensive, or at the very least, we delayed it. Now the park is not in use all summer next year, or for a period of time when it could be used, and we didn't end up really getting any benefit out of waiting that time. So knowing that we also have other projects in line with Shoreline and Chowin that are coming up through 26 and 27, there is it's not at any cost, but knowing that this is considered reasonable and that we do have a good, reliable contractor doing the work that has success previously, that we can do this and keep everything on track for what we're trying to accomplish for Robbinsdale over the next several years. And so I think that's how I would justify it. But I want to repeat, I really appreciate that you're asking us to justify this, that you're asking for more details, because those are very legitimate questions. It's really important. So I appreciate you bringing them to the forefront and for being at the meeting and asking questions. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Councilmember Greenberg. Councilmember Parisian. Thank
you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, thank you again to Will for raising these questions. I think if the positive outcome of your questions is a sharing of more information, and I'm grateful to staff for going into these details and for not only the council's benefit but for the public benefit as well. I am satisfied with the bid process. I think the answers there that we have put it out for 3 weeks. We had the standard timeline to receive those bids. It is a shame that only one came forward. And I do recall, and thank you to staff for jogging my memory around the tennis courts, because during that bidding process, I did raise a question around a specific line item. And Mr. McCoy, you explained the same thing that you've said tonight, that is a very sort of niche line item that's hard to make estimates around. And you had also said at that time that that's something that you're learning from that process and then bringing forward to future estimates. So I'm confident in the engineering team's ability to assess the not only the risk but also the benefit of moving forward with this. And for me, it is important to take into consideration the timeline, given the winter season coming up. And I think it is too risky to withhold moving forward with this bid at the risk of not being able to complete this work and delay future work for this park. So with that, I will be supportive of the resolution. But thank you again to Will, and thanks for the conversation. This has been really helpful.
Yes, thank you. I'll be brief. I think the council has spoken and have done a great job of highlighting the reasons why. And I do think we do get opportunity to sit in to some of these deeper conversations that we have in the work sessions as well, too. So always offer anybody to come to work sessions to be able to come and listen and also be a part of that as well, too. And I do want to ask you, Will, do you feel like your questions were answered? Because I think that's appropriate if you don't mind coming back up. And it's, yeah, I just want to make sure that what was answered was appropriate and you feel that you were heard.
Yeah, there were more questions that I was posing to you, so I would just, hope that all those questions were answered for your sake. But, yeah.
Love that. Thank you.
Certainly some more questions came up from feedback, so, yeah.
Yes, well, thank you so much for your time and bringing those questions forward, because this is what we need. All right, do you have a motion for anything?
Yes, I will move that we waive the reading and order the adoption of the attached resolution awarding a contract for the Chowan Avenue Trunk Storm Sewer Line City Project 73225 to SM Hentages and Sons, Inc. of Jordan, Minnesota.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no or nay. All right, resolution is approved. Thank you, Mr. McCoy. All right, moving on to other business. Voucher request pending approval for disbursement.
I move that we approve the voucher dispersal request for September 2nd, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no or nay. All right, voucher request approved for disbursement. Schedule special work session meeting for October 2nd, 2025. So everybody pull out your calendars, your cell phones, whatever you need to make sure we can make that happen.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, as you're taking a look, this is something we've been talking about for a number of weeks in wanting to continue the visioning and thinking about some the projects our neighbors have taken on with different light rail lines. Staff is suggesting we go on a bus tour to look at some of these neighborhoods. The 3 different locations on or near those lines to demonstrate how light rail and public transportation can really act as investments and catalysts for transformation and redevelopment. We would bring along some relevant speakers from the private and public sector for each individual stop. We discussed this at the last work session, and again, the proposals for 5 p.m. on Thursday, October 2nd. Once the meeting's set, we'll, of course, properly post.
Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Hit nod.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I'll make a motion to, sorry. I make a motion to schedule a special work session from 5 to 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, October 2nd, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no or nay. All right, that work session is scheduled for October 2nd. All right, moving on to administrative reports.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Got a few things to run through real quick. I want to call out Prism Palooza is happening here in a week and a half. You'll see some communication updates from the city. Us and some of our friends, including the cities of Crystal, Golden Valley, New Hope, and Plymouth, are having a friendly contest between one another. As this time of year is a good reminder for those that are dealing with food insecurity and similar services provided by Prism. So we're going to do a food drive here, and if we can, beat our neighbors, bragging rights is always fun. We'll look to get some, again, communications out, so watch for that. That'll, of course, wrap with their celebration on the 14th of the month. The next LRT community meeting will be on the 16th of this month, so a couple weeks from tonight. Watch for updates on that item, as well as the Dream Summit will be hosted a few days later on the 20th. I want to call out a couple projects we have going on in the parks, both the LVT Fitness Court and the Manor Park Playground are in different stages of nearing completion, but we're excited for those projects to get finalized here this fall. I want to call out that the fall tree sale is now open. And then with the 17th, big day for folks out there that haven't yet submitted, the Sanborn Park renaming process will continue as described on the website. Certainly if you have any questions, comments, concerns, reach out to staff. 17th is the deadline for that. We'll then go to the PRF Commission, and then submissions will go to council. And then a couple of last items for upcoming events. The Badgers and Bobbers here is on the 6th of this week. Vehicle fair on the 13th. The meet and greet, always a community favorite, on the 15th. And then the Boo Bash about a month out on October 3rd.
Thank you. Wonderful, thank you. Lots happening. Lots happening. All right, Rachel, anything you? Okay. All right, Council General Communications. Councilmember Parisian.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I will be brief tonight, but I wanted to acknowledge all of the families who are heading back to school last week and this week. It's a really heartbreaking and confusing time given the tragic school shooting in South Minneapolis last week. There really are no words to express what these kids and families and teachers and first responders are going through. And no one should have to endure such devastating violence in a place of learning. So I want to extend my condolences to the families experiencing loss and grief. And this is just a painful reminder that there's an urgent need to come together and prioritize the safety and well-being of kids in our community and everywhere. So I'm thinking about all the families and kids who are back to school this week. I hope that you all can find some moments of healing and joy and peace and kindness. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can jump in next. Thank you, Councilor Parisian. That was well said. Yeah, my sympathies and condolences to all those families affected. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's sad. It's unfortunate. It's enraging, and so many different emotions that one feels when you hear about tragedies like this and happening, to our neighbors in Minneapolis. So all the love to them. And I'm hopeful that the state legislature can come up with some kind of solution to this seemingly reoccurring problem. Yeah, it's just terrible. So some of the Robbinsdale business, speaking of the park renaming, Tim, you mentioned the submissions. Have we received a number of submissions yet? Do you have that number offhand? If not, that's okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Wagner, I do not have that. I know it's exceeded 100.
Okay.
We had
good.
a counter going, but
All right.
no shortage of submissions.
Okay, great. That was my concern, that we had like 2, but I'm glad that we have a lot of input with this process. And I think just going off that too, as a resident said at the beginning of the meeting, let's make sure this conversation is constructive and not, filled with vitriolic speech and hateful speech, especially. That is certainly not the Robbinsdale that I know, and I think that not the Robbinsdale that we want to live in. So I want to thank that resident for mentioning that, and let's keep those conversations constructive and not hateful, which shouldn't have to be said, but I will say it just to acknowledge that it is occurring. Meeting agenda notices and the agenda items, my impression was that public notification has to occur when a meeting is happening, and that maybe I don't know if an agenda has to be put forward at that point, but I was always under the impression that city council can kind of adjust things to our discretion the day of. Is that correct, Tim?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Wagner. So at a high level, that's correct. You as a council at the start of the year are required to set your regular meetings. So you think back to that first meeting in January, really first and third Tuesdays, some exceptions, thinking of National Night Out and Veterans Day this year, those types of things where we adjust by a day or two. And then of course the second Tuesday is your work session. So we set out that calendar for the year. We are required to publicly notice the reference of 72 hours. But yeah, the Department of Administration, and then what guides you all is you've adopted Sturgis rules. You do have some flexibility. Additions, subtractions, you can remove items, you can. Now, there are certain things that have a higher standard, certainly public hearings with proper notices, those types of things. If it's of appetite of the council, we'd be happy to put together maybe a more robust type of document similar to what we produced a couple of meetings ago, talking about what requires a public hearing, what requires a first reading, second reading, those types of things, if that'd be helpful as a reminder.
Okay. I feel comfortable with it as is. I guess if other council members want to talk about it, that's fine. Because I was just thinking I think I only remember one time in the last few years, like where council kind of added something to the agenda outside of staff recommendation, and it was like when the former council members wanted to get the CMC when Bill was on the CMC to and they kind of did it in that meeting, and that was like the only time I can remember. But my impression was what you stated, so that's good to know for the future. This I don't want to call it like the commissioner policy, but kind of the policy that we've been talking about that a resident brought up at the beginning of the meeting. We were talking about making a set of expectations and rules around commissioners and other various people that interact with the city government, residents that do that. And then when we talk about that again at the work session, can you just, I'm sure you were taking notes of the concerns that were raised about, speech concerns and just kind of the vagaries of if you're saying something positive about a commissioner, is that also against the rules of the proposed Brooklyn, the language that Brooklyn Center had? And having that information when we talk about it would be much appreciated. I think that's all I really had. Thank you, council, for a good discussion this evening, and thank you, staff, for being well prepared as always, and thank you to the residents that came out and spoke with us and shared your concerns and thoughts. I love seeing that. We always can get more of that, and so please feel free to come by any meeting as a council member of Blackledge. Noted earlier, we do have work sessions, which also kind of have a more informal structure. We're not up here at the dais and this kind of maybe more imposing situation. It's just a more casual, kind of informal discussion where we do talk about a lot of important stuff. So if you want to come to those as well, those are open to the public. And I hope everybody had a good Labor Day weekend. And I think as a union member, somebody passionate about the labor movement, I just want to recognize that what that holiday stands for, which is, working people and the fight that we've, put forth to people more powerful than us and more organized than us, but the gains that we've been able to extract from kind of the ruling classes, and holidays like Labor Day and paid leave and I learned the other day that I was reading an article about the Iron Range workers in their earlier unionization efforts, and they had to fight to get paid every 2 weeks because that wasn't a common thing. And I just took that for granted. Like my whole career, I've been paid every 2 weeks, and that was not something that business owners necessarily did out of the kindness of their heart. So I could probably be on a soapbox about labor unions for a long time, but I'll just leave it there. So happy Labor Day, belated, and I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Councilmember Wagner. Councilmember Greenberg?
Yeah, I really appreciate the words that you shared, Mia, and I feel the same way, and my heart goes out to the families in that community, but I don't think I could say it any better than Councilmember Parisian, so I'll leave it at that, and thank you for those words. I do want to say thank you to staff. So this is our first experience doing a remote teleconference, if you will. And so I want to thank everyone for their help in getting this set up and making it possible so that I could attend the meeting and that the technology worked and everything. So I appreciate all of that. And I will also say happy belated Labor Day and all that represents, which Councilmember Wagner pointed out so well. So that's all for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Parisian, for setting us off and thinking about the families impacted and those far and beyond and near. There has to be some changes in legislation and changes in how we, what's happening. We can't keep happening to our babies. It just can't. Also, on the same note, in Robbinsdale, remember the meet and greet's coming up as well too. So I'd love to see everybody out there participating in this in fellowship and being able to connect and meet your neighbors downtown and see what's happening in Robbinsdale. And further, I just want to say thank you not only to my fellow council members and the city staff for this the amount of work that goes into creating and making sure that we have the knowledge and information that we have, and then it's the rich conversations that we have as well too. And especially thank you to those who showed up today to be present and partake and just providing us with feedback, providing us with the opportunity of things to reflect on and think about. That's really critical and important. And it takes a community for us to be able to be the best version of ourselves. And so continue to do that. And I also just want to say thank you to those who have reached out to me and have just set up meetings and say, hey, let's just connect and talk. I want to do that. I want to be able to hear voices and be able to talk to people in Robbinsdale and beyond. But I don't think definitely our community is providing opportunities for me to connect with neighbors more intentionally. So thank you for those who have done that thus far. And I know there's going to be many more as we move forward as well too. So thank you for that. And as always, just continue to greet your neighbors, say hi, be intentional. The fall weather is here, so I know we'll be outside more walking and getting around. So enjoy this transition as we head from summer to fall. And thank you all for your time tonight. And enjoy the rest of this week.
Thank you. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me. Sorry, Tim, I'm not sure if this is appropriate or not. We were supposed to do the tobacco and cannabis license. Was that for today, or am I mistaken?
Oh, I got you on that.
I know you guys late.
You did not miss it. So.
Sorry, I felt that was inappropriate.
No, I speak up. Thank you for that. I think it's really important. So that was actually approved in our consent agenda, which approves everything all at once. And so yeah. No, great question. If you don't know the answer, please ask. Like that's what we're here for.
Awesome. So it got accepted? Oh, nice. Okay, thank you so much, guys.
No, thank you, and so sorry for not being more explicit about that and clear. So.
This was an awesome experience. My first time ever coming to anything like this, and it was so cool to see you guys talking. It's very awesome. I want to be in you guys' shoes one day too. It seems really cool to.
We're gonna hold you to that.
Yeah, I really do. It's really awesome to see my first time.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Hopefully, like 2 months, just we guys start to build out. But we said we go up tomorrow, we try to build out. So it's awesome. Thank you guys.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. With that,
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Sorry. All those opposed, so no or nay. All right. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.